Wow. Can't even hear much.
Too late, they heard you say that. And hello, everyone. I'm Dan Lutz, and I'm here with
Stephen Rowe, also known as Tank.
And we're here on the front lines.
Front lines. Hey, that was right, Dan. You got it right.
Yeah. But you just cut me off. I was going to add another line, and then you just broke it. So we got to do it all over again. Now, as I say, here on WWG1, WGA.love. Please go there and sign up and contribute. Donations are welcome. Monthly, $1.11, $8.88, or $99.99 a year is a contribution made towards all of the work that we're doing to put this out there to show where the front lines are in the battle against the deep state cabal and the Illuminonkeys. And how are the Illuminonkeys doing today, Tank?
Oh, well, I think you got. It seems like everybody's on the run. I was looking at. I was listening in on a meeting tonight that the lawyers in New York were having over not far from me, but I found out about the meeting a little late, but So in this meeting, they were breaking down some things, right? How in New York State, there's a New York State Constitution, and in the New York State Constitution, the religious freedoms rights, right, are actually more extensive than our regular Constitution. It actually adds the term forever, right? So the religious freedoms of the people of New York State are guaranteed forever. That's what it says in the Constitution here in New York. So, I'm really blown away by this. Actually, there's actually a federal law right now that was supposed to go into place on July 22nd that would actually cause an injunction immediately on all of the activities surrounding the imposition of vaccines on people, right? And that's actually in place by it's HHS.gov. I think it's Human Services. But basically it protects our civil rights, our human rights, right? But most importantly, it's called the conscience, not conscious, conscience, law, right? Now, in this conscience law, the word conscience, right? You actually, in legal terms, it actually means, it breaks down to with knowledge. Little known fact, everything legal you can break down into the actual law.
Win, like I'm the winner, that kind. Win knowledge.
No, with.
W-I-T-H. Oh, sorry. Okay, got it. With knowledge. Oh, that makes more sense.
With knowledge. Like code is with, and science is knowledge, right?
I got you.
So it's with knowledge. So what that means is, it dates back to something like you can actually see in the Bible. You break it up, and you have the age of Abraham is actually known as the age of conscience, right? Not conscious, conscience, right?
Conscience.
So in that time, there was no law. There was no law given, like there was no 10 commandments, right? So in that time, what you had was everyone obeyed their conscience, which really
the little guy on their shoulder.
Well, your conscience really speaks to your inner knowledge, right? Like it's your with knowledge, and that knowledge is actually talking about the presence of God within you, right?
Right.
Now, God within you, right, is with knowledge. Now, all of our laws, believe it or not, they all go back to exactly what you've been dealing with, ecclesiastical laws and Canaanite laws and things like that, right?
Right.
Now, their system is all Canaanite laws, right? Which are
punitive.
Allow us to basically, yeah. Now, but the real law is natural law or universal law, or different terms for that. But I like the term, the age of conscience, right? Now, you actually have this. You have examples in the Bible, like where Abraham went into some city where the ruler there was kind of evil, and so he told his wife to say that she was his sister, right? Because he thought that the ruler of that city would kill him, right? And then because she's so beautiful, he wanted her, so he killed her husband. So, the ruler is getting ready to hit on Abraham's wife, and then something in his conscience pricks him, right? And he realizes something's not right, and he knows that now that's Abraham's wife. And once he finds that out, he won't touch her because he understood the karmic consequences of natural law, right? And that principle is that's the same principle. So I think it's very interesting that you have this actual act in part of the Human Services Act, right? They protect religious freedoms, make sure that you're not being discriminated based on race, things like that. But the fact that they have conscience in there as well, to me, is very, very powerful, because there's a lot of people that don't know. But if you're with the knowledge that the elements and the ingredients that are in these vaccines are actually harming our children, right? There's a full genome of a human being in there. There's there's the leukemia virus. I feel like that should be enough, that I shouldn't have to, give it to my child.
Right.
There's aluminum and mercury. These are all elements that are toxic to a human, certainly a baby, right?
Right. We know it.
Yeah.
It's not unknown. This is very much known. It's not like a question. This is poison.
Right. And then furthermore, there is two of the virologists that actually worked on the MMRs, the MMR vaccine for Merck. They have filed false claims reports saying that Merck, forced them to spike the results using animal DNA, right? So the actual antiviruses aren't even created by the vaccine itself. So there's really no benefit to it whatsoever. There's only harm, right? And we know that. If you have two virologists come out who work for Merck, right? And then Merck gives a contract to the crooked scumbag organized criminal governor there, right? So all this is happening. Like, these are all the things that I'm looking at. And then on top of that, you add in there the Nuremberg trials, where it actually says, the Nuremberg Code, which says you absolutely must provide informed consent, right? People must understand what it is that's happening, what they're taking place in, before they participate in any kind of a study, right? Now, that's what this is, because they're approving these vaccines. They have no idea what they'll do, right? It's a study. They're using the human population as a long-term study. Now, the evidence of that is that when the vaccine started, there were 6 of them. Then, 15 years later, there was 24. Now there's 74.
Right.
So this actually speaks to a cycle that you would use when you're looking for the right dosage to get the desired result. And what they're looking for is, are they dumbed down enough and receptive enough to the frequencies we're putting out? And that is really what they've been doing. It's amazing, actually. So all these things are happening in New York, and so I want to talk to the lawyers, because every time I hear one thing they said, I thought was a great point. They said, if we lose our religious freedoms now, you will never get them back.
Right.
And this speaks to what you're always talking about communism being their religion.
Right.
So.
Right.
So.
Yeah, they definitely They definitely want to, well, and the religion of communism is also, one of no God. That there is no God.
Right. Just evil dictators who
That's
have
it.
everything.
Right. The smart,
It's
the science,
yeah.
the science of everything is what's going to make everything work well. That's, ignoring, what science has proven is that they need God to create.
Yeah, so crazy. So, yeah, so all this stuff's that's going on there. But I just thought it was so interesting that you already have this passed. This is already law. I mean, this is already set up to actually have an injunction on the vaccines themselves on a federal level. And I find everything about the states thinking that they're going to go and just defy any sense of, their own laws that they have, any sense of the Constitution. And they said this is the craziest. They're doing all this because in New York State, a state of 20 million people, there was 880 cases of the measles. That is a 0.000044 percentage.
Yeah.
That's how much it is.
But the measles is something that you just go ahead and send your children to go and get so that they can go through and build their own immune system up, right? Which has been the way that everyone has dealt with measles and mumps forever, right? And then your immune system is better, not worse, because you take this vaccine, right? That then makes you ill.
So according to the CDC, there has been 3 deaths total since the year 2000, measuring through the year 2015, caused from the measles. That means statistically, you are more likely to get hit by lightning every day for a year than you are to die from the measles. I made that up. I don't know if that's true. I'm just saying.
Well, that's what everyone does with statistics anyway. They tweak them to make them mean what they want anyway.
But I will say statistically, you are definitely more likely to be killed by the Clintons than you are by the I mean, that is a scientific fact. There has been at least 50 deaths that we know of directly from people who were investigating the Clintons too closely.
You mean last month?
I mean, what, the FBI agent killed himself on the dance floor who was investigating the Clintons? Can you imagine what they told that poor guy? Oh my gosh, I feel terrible for that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did they say to that guy? I mean, Hillary Clinton must have just gotten in his head and unleashed spiders and venom and evil. He just went and shot his head off.
And that's it. Release spiders in his head. That's an interesting image there.
Visual, yeah. Yeah, I know.
She's whispering into his ears, and then the spiders leave her lips and go digging into his brain. Through his ear. Climb in through the ear.
That is exactly how I picture it.
Yep.
I mean, it is. You know what's amazing is I always kind of pictured Cruella de Vil is the epitome of evil, right? Like she's wearing Dalmatians for a coat, right? But but then I realized I was reading this thing by Macaulay Culkin, right? He came out and was talking about all the ways that he was just brutalized, right? They tried to destroy this article, right? So we're gonna put it out on the Speak Project, so it doesn't get buried, right? And he was talking about how unique when you see leather made from human skin, how it's very unique texture. Talking about the red shoes and things like that, and so it's just it's almost kind of nightmares. Or
maybe he needs to come on and have an interview done.
Yeah, I would like that. It's funny. I think I actually manifested Macaulay Culkin, right? into my universe today because last night for some reason I was out.
You were home alone.
I was no, I was not actually alone. But funny story, I was out and about, right, and like off in the distance, I hear these people screaming and like running in the crowd, right, and the vibe from it was really really dark, right. So I like immediately kind of booked it home, right. Wanted to make sure my house was locked up and things. But I mean, it was like a real like I just for a passing moment, I started thinking like, what are the possibilities? So I literally was in my house at like 3 in the morning, and I was thinking to myself like, if someone tried to come in here, and I had like a whole Macaulay Culkin like kind of a plan for like Home Alone. Like,
I get you, yeah.
Yeah, I just had a moment, But it's funny.
Well, it's like it's like I used to get together with a friend of mine, a very smart guy, he's a physicist, and we'd discuss things like theories of time and quantum theory, and but the other thing we throw in there is what to do in a zombie apocalypse, right? what are the first things you grab when you're in the store? What are those items you have to have on the shelf? Right? What's the very first thing you need in a zombie apocalypse?
Water.
Nope.
Lighter fluid.
No.
Lighter fluid and flares. BB gun. I don't know what.
You just hit it there. Well, BB gun would not be there, but the weapon. You need a weapon to fight the zombies,
course, yeah.
right? Because they're in the store.
Oh, right. Of course.
Yeah, you're gonna need to get something because they'll come out of any door, right? They're in the freezer. You open the freezer and the zombie in the background, all moving slowly, right? So you hit them with a pork chop or whatever. But
I was right on this, Danny. I'll tell you the first thing I did last night is I came to the house and I was just like, I made weapons for every single person in my family just so they'd have them, just in case.
Yeah, that's really what it is. It's you need to get the weapons, right? To make sure that you're able to go ahead and get to the water,
right?
Because you are going to need water, yeah. But if you can't get there, it's not going to help you. So,
right.
But yeah, so whether we're going to get to the zombie apocalypse stage or not. I hope not. No. Yeah, whatever zombie virus or whatever their plan was, but in essence, it may not be like the undead, but there may be those that are similar hordes of people looking for food, and they're going to take you as food. Cannibalism, right? They're trying to make cannibalism okay, acceptable, right? And then they stop food production. Oh well, we've no choice, but we've got to eat people. Again, it's just their sick joke, right, against people, against humanity, right, to get people to eat people, right, just like they are.
Yeah, down in Uganda, one of the project owners in our group, she had already, because people are moved, right, emotionally, spiritually, energetically to help, right, and she was just touched by some people in Uganda in this little village in Uganda. She was saying how it got so bad right there with no food. Now, this is just ridiculous to me, right? No food.
Right.
And in reality, I know why. It's because the IMF cut them off, right? From not with just money, they cut them off with boundaries and things, right? To try to starve them out, and they would have the mercenaries in there, right? So the IMF mercenaries were always going to threaten the central bankers and all this stuff for the past 2 years. I mean, I'm sure longer, but like with my personal experience, where I've you've had like deals on the table and these mercenaries show up and do terrible things, and then there's I know like there's a whole military decoding team that was working on some stuff, and they were breaking down that Mike Pompeo was there appeared to be a hit scheduled for Mike Pompeo today, some things like that,
Okay.
And that's which I'm sure they were not successful, but they don't have anything to really offer, right? They're making all these crazy threats. Joe Biden came out, he told a war story today that never happened.
Right. I got the news on that one. Yeah. And they're saying he's got to step down. He mixed up like 5 stories or something. We'll put them all into one. So that's why he's.
That is the adrenochrome degradation syndrome, right? When you can no longer get adrenochrome, your brain just starts to devour itself, So their bodies aren't producing their natural adrenaline anymore. So they probably have some kind of synthetic adrenaline they're supplementing with, but it's not the same, So
interesting.
They're all breaking down, going crazy. They're all going into Pelosi town.
Into Pelosi town.
She's like the
Why
mayor.
don't you take
like
me
to
crazy,
right?
Pelosi town? Why don't you take me to Pelosi
I remember last time I saw Pelosi explaining President Trump. She's like, you can't just be that guy. She started hitting the table. She goes, it's ridiculous. She couldn't finish words. It was so awful.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, you are obviously a shill.
Yeah, her dementia will have no effect on the way she basically rules.
I know. The greatest quote in political history. Right before you take a position of leadership.
Well, I don't know. That other one is pretty good. We have to pass it before we find out what's in the bill.
What? Because, and that's what Ilhan Omar is bringing up again now, right? Ilhan Omar is saying we need to turn over our borders to the United Nations. It's like, wait a minute. Anybody who hears that and thinks, yes, that's a good idea. I mean, we need to make the border just on the other side of them. They can stay on the other side of that border. And because that is an absolutely, if you don't see how much that is like, you no longer have America, right? You don't have the Constitution.
Right.
I got to tell you this too, man. I realize it's been really, as I've been getting a little more, not intentionally, but because what's going on here in New York, right? I'm a little more involved in the legal side, making sure I understand what our rights are, what to tell my children, and they're going to school on Tuesday, and this whole thing with vaccines. They out in California, they lost vaccine records, and they literally walk kids out by gunpoint, to get shots. That to me is terrifying.
Right.
So I've just been, just getting, and I have a pretty decent understanding when it comes to legal stuff, and I can read through it and kind of spot a lot of the issues. I mean, at least usually, right? So, but I'm so fascinated right now by this whole process taking place, that Ron Davis described this, and he said that when he was down and he went to court, he brought up the Constitution, and the judge was going to send him to jail in contempt of court for trying to claim constitutional rights.
Amazing.
And that's scary to me, right?
Right.
But on an upside, I can't remember the guy's name, Tom Laniston or something like that, who was supposed to go to court a few days ago, and President Trump and Melania intervened and told him not to go to court. He said it's not a real court, right?
Interesting.
And now, listen, now this is what I learned about that. So I find this to be fascinating. So they held him in contempt of court, and they put out a warrant for his arrest. So now President Trump's got his team from the Pentagon involved, fighting the state of Illinois, right? Now here's why that's important, right? See, President Trump is right. All of our court system, all these things, these are all cabal court systems. These are all UCC courts. They no longer have any power because all those contracts have expired. So everything to do with the UCC system, the attorneys that are loyal to the bar, right, the Bar Association, they don't work for their clients. They work for, the Crown.
Right.
They they are part of the legal economics system, right?
Right.
Getting
They are to a turnover the money, attorney, to a turn.
right, exactly. I turned over the money, right? Hang on, I swear. There is, my town is 5 miles long. There is more emergencies when I'm on the phone. I swear. I swear they do this just to mess with me. Anyway, so President Trump told him not to go. Now think about it. Like, you're called into court. Who would even think not to show up, right? And but President Trump told him not to. And I'll tell you what, I think the reason why he did that is because when they overturned that the court is not viable in Illinois, because the other thing is, and I'm pretty sure this is right because I was talking to people who actually filed the paperwork, who actually set up the grand juries to restore the republic, and I think there was like 47, of these grand juries, right, that were set up to restore the republic.
Right.
And I believe that was actually in Illinois.
I
so
think
it would make sense to me.
I think that Ken Cousins with Pantero de Oro was part of that and became the governor of California when that occurred. Now, it might be a different effort, but because it seems very similar to this other effort. But so the information is so hidden, right? It's kind of hard to see what group is doing what, if they're all one and they're all working on the same thing or not.
Yeah, I know. It's so crazy. Yeah, but regardless, for President Trump to get involved.
Is there an article or something where Trump says, "Hey, don't go to court"? I mean, how do you know? I mean, what was the?
Because I have great researchers, on my team who give me this stuff in the moment, and then that's why we need Lisa on. She would have had this queued up.
Well, only sometimes.
Sometimes Lisa. but she was telling me about it, and actually my whole team was talking about it, and my team is so diligent on all the things that they're doing all the time, and I to be honest, I can't even keep up with them. Luckily, they summarize everything for me, but so I get what they tell me, but I really think that speaks to restoring a government that is actually governed by the people, because we all have a right to a trial by jury for everything. By the way, like a judge, the way that our judge system is set up, that's a crown system, and they have too much control, too much power, obviously, and they're obviously corrupted, right?
Right.
To take advantage of the system. So I know it's all that stuff's going on, and then I've actually, I have to admit, I've been, ever since that the Daily Beast came out and ran down QAnon, I've been much more diligent checking on Q, right?
Oh yeah.
Because I hate bullies, and I hate people that say bad things about good people. And this week I watched it happen. I watched a lot of things come out of the woodwork that making accusations against people that I trust, trying to divide my team.
Right. Well, I think QAnon is going to be back on the 5th. That's what I think. Well, at least 8chan is going to be back. I don't know if Q will be back, but I would imagine that there'll be something quickly that comes of that.
Yeah. I'm feeling pretty good about everything, about what's taking place. I know there's some secret meetings going on, in the world today. I know the tables, came back to the table with us, with Kim, which I think to be pretty great news. These groups, they always start out very tough,
right?
And I've seen them go the other way, right? They want to help us, and they're all about it, and then they go the other way with the Rothschilds. And what I'm seeing now over the past couple of weeks is it's the other way. They're starting to fold, and they want us to help. They want us to be involved. They want Kim to come over and work with them now. And then they realize, I think, because but look at the extent she's had to go to do that. she's basically had to completely expose your entire system is about to collapse, right? And that means everything that you've done, you will be blamed for absolute turmoil. And you would have, I mean, even if it wasn't the zombie apocalypse, it would be an uprising that would be, you'd have people that would just, crowds would be losing their minds, right? Like, you think it's bad in China? I mean, imagine if the banking system actually collapsed and there's no reason for you that you can hold us in check anymore. Because even soldiers, right, they're just people at the end of the day, right? So how long do you think they're going to fight the crowd? And I forget, did you tell me this about the soldiers that lay down their weapons to stand with the crowd?
No.
I must have been in France. It's been 42 weeks straight that they have been protesting in France, and it's not even covered on our news.
Right.
But there was a 20-minute spot on like 4 or 5 years ago when Barack Obama got up and wore a tan suit. And they spent 20 minutes talking about that. So just to let you know, we have our priorities straight there in the mainstream media.
Right. Yeah. Obviously, there's no... there's not even worth watching them at all. I watch Fox, but I can even see where it's tainted, right? And they have the firewall of information. Right? You can't go past this point for where the truth actually is sitting. I watched Steve Bannon, a couple more articles, and then also another a couple other people like this Chinese billionaire. So I'm watching some of his YouTube stuff, and it really is. China is actually much closer to collapsing with what Trump is doing right here than people might imagine. It's kind of like the same thing as Ronald Reagan collapsing the USSR, right? He overspent them, right? But in this case, China is losing their capacity for manufacturing and getting the parts, and that's going to result in basically civil unrest. So that's why they really want this credit score system so that they can see where the unrest is and go and snuff it out. They're so hypersensitive to their precarious position, and because it will be that the Chinese people rise up and get rid of them because it's just a totalitarian mobsters. They're mobsters. And again, we're back to the Khazarian mafia, the Rothschild mafia, and their, extension into China, right? And that's the whole purpose of the whole idea of Bilderberg. The name Bilderberg came from the Bilderberg Hotel, and they've adopted it and use it now, but it was named that because of the reporter that was there waiting tables, right? And he just took notes from all these people, and when this happened, that the meeting was about them introducing communism into China and Russia, and to take over the world through communism. That was their plan. So now we see that it's again the mafia is in place, and Steve Bannon is calling it a mafia. He's calling them gangsters, mobsters, right? But it's the same thing. It's like that's why I see that they're really going after communism worldwide, and China is going to be one of those linchpins. So Russia got out of it, right? So I think Gorbachev was probably glad to get rid of communism at that point, right? Because then they started rebuilding.
Sure. I keep watching this speech by Ronald Reagan, right? And he talks about the solution. He talks about how there's one sure way we can have peace. He said we can surrender. We can surrender and give way. He said, but anybody who would rather just have peace and not have
freedom,
not have freedom, but not have the integrity to be able to. I forget exactly what he used, but towards the end of his speech, he says now, The solution is you. Is you having the courage to tell them that there is a price that we will not pay. There is a line that you must not cross. And I believe that we are, that is really what has happened with the universe, and the kind of the idea of attraction, right?
Well,
we've attracted this moment to kind of be able to stand up,
Well, I've experienced that recently in the Kringle Society. We literally hit crossed the line that really changes everything of what the Kringle Society has been to this point, and makes it something completely different. And so we had to stand up and we had to stop it, and so all the leaders came together to basically say the same thing. So now we've got to use the legal recourse that we have available, set up by our founding documents. But it's the same thing in the whole world. We need to stand up and take action. I had to write documents for 2 days, right? Actually, probably longer, but being able to go ahead and address these issues means we've got to stand up, whether it's against vaccines, running for office. We're the ones that have to do it. We can't wait for the savior.
Yeah, no, and that is, I think that's absolutely where we're at. And I think that, as you really reinstate the people's government, right? Because that's what we were founded on, right? We the people. And then, the fact that the courts even have the nerve, right? This is why, as far as I'm concerned, anybody going to court, like, I had somebody tell me to, try to tell me that Ron Davis was something he wasn't, right? And I called him up and I told him what was said about him, and he proved immediately, demonstrated absolutely not X, Y, Z, explained it all, and I gave absolute evidence. He said, anybody who wants to accuse me of anything, they're welcome to come through it to my face. They don't have a thing on me that is a lie, right? And I just loved his whole confidence, right? Now, the man got put in prison already, right? And they really put him in prison for, practicing law without a license. Well, there's no such thing as a law license. There's no such thing.
You have to be a member of the bar, right? That's what they're going to say. That's why I've got my, I said one of my legal mechanics there. He considers himself a lawyer, right? And he practices now. He told me he can only now file things in one state, right? Because all the rest, there's such a high burden to get across for him to have standing in the court that they've made it pretty much impossible. They just won't abide by what the actual law is anymore.
Well, that's what I'm seeing, and that's the thing to me that is I have as I dove into this, there are so many violations, right, that are obvious, that are clear, right? Conflict of interest with Merck and, providing, obviously, providing a contract, at the same day that the vaccine is now imposed on every single person in New York State, right? You have that kind of conflict of interest. You have constitutional rights completely doing away with our religious freedoms without even having a public hearing right here in New York, right? Doing the same in California. Taking, fabricating information, filing false claim reports. These are all documented events. These are all admissible into court, right? But because judges have the ability to say what can be admitted and what can't be, they basically can set the, they can decide, oh, well, if this is admitted, they're going to lose. So, no, you can't admit this, right? And, think of how ridiculous that is. Why would a judge be allowed to do that? Like, this is important. This is an important aspect of what's going on. You have, so this is why, the court of public opinion, or the people's court, that is the highest court in the land. And that is where people have got to recognize, look, certainly, the civilian militia is not just limited to, people that carry guns and, shoot ducks on the weekend, right? It's actually people, the real weapons of our warfare is just our will, right? Is the very strength of the
hearts and minds.
That's right.
Hearts and minds. That's how you win wars. is it doesn't matter what the edicts are if you have the hearts and minds.
Now this gentleman, I believe his name is Dave, wrote down Kevin's associate, who wrote down all this, the original Constitution that one night. Now, he had some very valuable information, right? And one of the things he was talking about was this, when the British Army was beaten back, right, out of Massachusetts by the Massachusetts militia. And they beat them back without ever firing a shot. Now, how do you do that? I mean, that is just the sheer will of, men in battle saying, you will not cross this line, right? And that is what the front line is, right? Is this is the line. You will not cross this line, right? And we have to take a stand at some point. And what they've done is they've fabricated this lie and convinced people that it means one thing, but it really means something else. So I am even today when I was this meeting that was held here on Long Island, and and I had people there at the meeting, and so I was listening in, to the meeting. And I was listening to the lawyers, and all I could think is, the fact that you are, you're there and you're advocating for the people, and you're saying these things that are very, emotionally stirring and things of that nature, right? And very solid. His case is very solid, right? But I listened. I was listening for. Did you bring up our constitutional rights? Did you bring up jurisprudence? Did you bring up the violations that Merck has had? They didn't bring up any of those things. But the one piece they had, religious freedoms, that all by itself should be enough. But if I was going into battle, I certainly wouldn't be like, well, this is my favorite gun and this is what I'm taking. I'm going to take everything that's going to help me win the war.
Well, sometimes if you bring too much it could actually, you don't have the logistical capability of carrying out all the weapons that you want to bring to the war, right? So that's probably more or less what happens most of the time in these situations, is that the requirement for you to do other things along the way is why people kind of don't bring everything, right? They need to position it in a way that is gets to the result, right? So let's say you have a budget of $100,000 to go to war in the legal system. If you added these 10 things, you'd need $1 million, but you can still get the result with the 100,000. So that's maybe what you're looking at there. So I mean, I've been like in the midst of battle with the fighting between two big groups of attorneys, and I saw a lot of this tactical stuff being experts coming in, and how to basically people paid other groups that other professionals to come in and analyze the statistics and how do you actually go ahead and approach this and be able to achieve the goal. So I see that it exists that way. So anyway, that's maybe what's been going on. You're experiencing.
I get it. I agree. I see that as well. But jurisprudence really, in this case, jurisprudence really establishes the precedent, right? That if a state makes a law, or what appears to be a law, right, the assumption is that it is a law. But in reality, if it violates our constitutional rights, it is a no law and therefore has no power. Now, that is absolute. Now, that is the kind of thing that, in my opinion, it quiets, all the donkeys, right? And just cuts things down a bit. And then, that is if the Constitution is still the law of the land. Now, what I think the real fight that we're looking at right now is exactly what the Democrats were saying, which was BS, about there being a constitutional crisis in reference to things that had to do with Trump. And there was nothing Trump was doing in reference to violating the Constitution. In fact, what they were doing is what they always do, telling on themselves. So there is a constitutional crisis, and when it gets to now, that's why they pushed the date back, on this, because there's a federal law in place that says that there's going to be an injunction on these vaccines. And it goes into effect on November 22nd. That means you have September and October and a good portion of November for these kids to get shot up with, these dumb vaccines, right? You got smart dust and dumb vaccines trying to make us all stupid. Trying to make our kids effeminate and reduce testosterone levels, and, make it so we just are docile and go along with the program. And that's what they're hoping we do. Right? That's why toxic masculinity is going to be the #1 bar in Manhattan when I'm done with all this.
Yeah, I hear you. I want to make the cologne toxic masculinity.
Toxic masculinity. I will go in on that venture with you. I think that's a great idea.
Okay, we'll work on that one. That's a joint venture there, for sure. So I think it's very musky smell, maybe kind of cinnamony musk.
Maybe, yeah, maybe just blue velvet aftershave mixed with badass. I don't know. Figure it out.
Yeah. When they added musk, it's like the urine of like what is it, the Wolverine urine.
I feel like we could do anything but that. Anything.
Oh no, really? That's what a lot of the times when they're doing the male scents and colognes are adding urine.
Right.
Just so you know.
Very pungent.
Well, it's the biology, right? It's what's recognized. We before we had bathrooms, we used to go and pee on the tree.
Yep.
Here in the Philippines, it's very common to see people peeing out and just like along the road, right? Just whipping it out.
Man, I'm from the country. That's pretty normal.
Yeah.
Where I come from too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Like to write in the snow.
So yeah, man. I think everything is exciting. If we were funded right now and able to do exactly what I was talking about the other night about really initiating projects, and all this stuff would be a lot of fun, to be honest, to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we are. I still stand by what I said, that I am poised. I'm listening carefully for the message of I am ready to send. Are you ready to receive? So I'm holding my that vibration and that energy, and I think that is the key to everything. The secret behind everything is our energy.
We had a guest for a moment. Now they're gone. Boom. It was on the phone number.
Who was it?
I don't know. It was his phone number.
Oh,
anyway.
Yeah.
I guess they figured out that we're on and they jumped off. All right. Well, I guess we're good. Anything else we should cover?
Not right now.
Yeah. I think so. Anyway, I am going to have another one of these, conferences with the Kringle Society. It'll be, roughly 11 hours from now. So it's a very, I think, interesting that this the same kind of thing. The energy of this is that we're moving forward, right? That's why I feel so. I think it's kind of just like everything tied together. Everything's happening simultaneously. So it's kind of a little interesting just to observe it. Things happening with the banks, people happening here in this, microcosm of the Kringle Society of being able to move forward.
Yeah. Well, you know what I think. I think that I spoke to Faye today. Who's Faye Ferris. She's one of our energy healers, and she said, and I thought it was just very, very wise. And she said that just keep in mind everything that's happening is the universe just clearing things in your path to provide the way for you to be and do exactly who you're supposed to be and do what you're supposed to do and be able to live the incredible life that you were meant to live. And if you just hold on to that, allow yourself to connect with that emotional clarity, that to realize it's already done, and you're just kind of going through the motions, then it's like 2 weeks from the future, right? I mean, shoot.
Yeah.
Like so you gotta think.
Hey, maybe you can set up a time with me and Faith so we could do an energy cleansing right now. Probably might be a good time. I've had so much pumping through me right now.
We should try to grab you before you jump on your call tomorrow.
Yeah. So I'm
yeah,
here.
I'll ask Faye if she's game for that.
All right, I'm here.
Well, the gang, everybody have a great night. Dan, you do the same.
Bye. Peace out from the Philippines.
Later.